feels so good to bring the show on the road. What is good, wrestling universe? This is the Coach and Bro Show. We are here in the BTT studios every single Monday and Thursday. I am the coach and my partner who I love so very much and I have missed, of course, from russosbrand.com, my man, Vince Russo. We have so much to talk about today. Vince, good afternoon. How are you?
What is going on, Coach? Missed you the other day. Me and Tommy had a cover for you, bro, but we had a great show, but it's always great to have you back, man.
Yeah, I had to send in a little video because I knew you guys were going to be slapping me around a little bit as I was traveling. I got 5 trips, Vince, 5 to Florida this month and the first month of May. We're spreading the brand. We're spreading the love.
Well, have you heard, I don't know if Producer Man's smarting you up or not, but Tommy and I have a new nickname for you. Have you heard the nickname yet?
No, Producer Man has not told me. What would that be, Vince?
Part-time. You're part-time, or you know, people close to you can just say PT, shorten it up, PT. So yeah, you're part-time, man. Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm just out here trying to run 8 brands all at the same time. I'm trying to rely on you and Tommy. And now I will say this: that Gabby, she hosted The Last Word on Monday, and all of a sudden somebody called her and she said, "Hey, Coach, what does Wally Pip mean?" And I said, "Who told you?" She goes, "A friend of mine called and said, tell Coach you just got Wally pipped." So I said, "Hold the phone. You host one show and all of a sudden you're now sitting in the host chair." So it's okay. Yes. Yeah. It's okay. During your first take, I just noticed that the sun is really bright out here. Literally, Vince, where I'm sitting, SeaWorld is about 200 yards from where I'm sitting right now. SeaWorld in Orlando.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Did you ever go to SeaWorld?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I love SeaWorld. I love SeaWorld. All right, we got a lot to talk about, man. And before we get started, we got a lot of people coming into the chat that watch live. So how can they be a part of the show if they so choose, Vince?
Yeah, guys, we love you to be a part of the conversation, and you can do that through a super sticker or a donation. We will bring you right up on the screen, and you could join in with me and Coach. There is no question we won't answer. There is no comment we won't discuss. So just do it through a super sticker or donation.
All right, very good. How about timing? How about that, Vince? All right, let's get into it. Obviously, we are in WrestleMania season. I still think they made a gigantic mistake in waiting till so long into April. Me and you are used to WrestleMania in March and already being done, but that's not the case. So now as of this Saturday, we'll be 2 weeks away from WrestleMania. And there's a lot of guys and storylines, and I feel like it's very, very top heavy. I did 2 podcasts this week, Vince, of shows that are in Europe. And both of the hosts complained that they felt like they got shortchanged at the Raws the last 2 weeks over there. They didn't feel like they brought the star power. The crowds were not very good. Do you feel like right now the lead to WrestleMania outside of Cody Rhodes and John Cena is lacking just a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Coach, again, you know, we're always going to get labeled negative and this and that. And bro, I have no reason to be negative. Mm-hmm. I don't have a horse in this race. You ask me a question, I answer the question. Outside of Cena and Cody, you know, just, you know, the curiosity of what they're going to do, I don't have any interest in any other match. I mean, I just don't. You're asking me a question and I'm giving you an answer. You know, when you look at the 3-way, Coach, okay, like there's no stakes involved in this match. There's nothing on the line. Oh, okay, so Paul Heyman is going to turn on Reigns and join Punk. What does that even mean? I mean, that means nothing to me as a wrestling fan. Coach, there needs to be something on the line. Because again, I will ask any wrestling fan this question. Between Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns, why do you care who wins? Like literally give me a reason of why you want so-and-so to win.
I'm so glad you went there. because the beauty of our show is that we purposely don't talk about our takes before the show starts, because I don't want to know where you go and you don't want to know where I go. And so much has been made about the tears and the emotion, and I will give CM Punk a lot of credit. He does seem like a changed man. I'm seeing all these interviews of guys backstage. This isn't the guy that was here, 10, 11 years ago. But the emotion of getting into the main event that we saw on TV last week with Paul Heyman and all of that, I then thought just like you thought. I said, okay, he's going to be in the main event. So it does two things. It then lessens what we were always taught and what started at WrestleMania 18 in Toronto, when I was a small part of that true main event, which was The Rock and Hogan. And then people forget that that was the night that Vince was convinced by Triple H that the World Heavyweight title was the most important thing. So it always had to be the main event and the last match at WrestleMania. So now, Vince, this year, what are you telling the people about Gunther and Jey Uso when they're going to be a part of night number one for the World Heavyweight Championship? But my guess is they're going to start the show, because are you really going to make the World Heavyweight title go right before that triple threat? So that's number one. The other thing is, if you're CM Punk and you're trying to convince him this is your main event, this is your legacy, but say he wins, say he covers, it won't be Roman Reigns, say he covers Seth Rollins, what does he get out of that? That's the question that I will put back to you.
Well, also, Coach, the one thing that we were talking about on Monday, Tommy and I, is, bro, this is such a slight to Jey Uso. Now, yes. Gunther has not been around for that long, so I'm sure he's got no problem with it. But Jey has been around for a very, very, very long time. We know he's selling a lot of merch. We know he's really over with the people. We know he's the kind of guy that has done everything the company has asked him to do. But now these three guys are going to jump over him and be in the main event. Bro, I think that is a massive, massive slight to Jey Uso.
And think about all of the times, whether it's Cody last year, whether it's Daniel Bryan several years ago, when you reach the top of the mountain, and if you look at the odds, the betting odds at MyBookie, Jey Uso is a overwhelming favorite to defeat Gunther and become the World Heavyweight Champion. And when you become the World Heavyweight Champion, that's the pinnacle of your career. That's the pinnacle of everything he's gone through, all of the personal issues, all of the tag team stuff with Jimmy. And then you're going to be celebrating, and then you're going to have somebody come up to you and point to their watch and say, hey, got to go, because you got another match coming in after you. That's an unbelievable slight. And I think Jey Uso, if positioned the right way, and Vince, that's why I love doing the show with you. You're an unbelievable writer, the greatest of all time. And anybody that would be written for you, you could make into a world champion, and people believe it. But it's about believing, right? And right now, if you tell the audience this is not as important as a triple threat match with nothing on the line, then how are they going to perceive Jey Uso as ultimately the World Heavyweight Champion?
Well, Coach, you want to go one step further, and, we talk about CM Punk being a changed man and all that. Great. How about CM Punk go out to the ring this week and say, you know what? I know it's been a dream for me to be in the main event at WrestleMania, and I can't tell you how honored and how thrilled I am. But the reality of the situation is that main event belongs to somebody else. Now, can you imagine how more over CM Punk would be to give that honor to Jey Uso?
He'd be over like Rover. He would be over like Rover. Real quick, we do have a super sticker, Vince. Awesome Sauce. We love you, Awesome Sauce. You're here every single week. The stipulation for the three-way match should be Punk can't cry anymore. Rollins has to dress like a normal person, and Roman has to wrestle more than 2 times a year. I mean, just in that one statement, that's kind of part of the problem that a lot of the fan base, not us, but a lot of the fan base has been complaining about for a long time, because you want 3 stars to be as serious as you can. And it's not Roman's fault that he has leukemia and they've got to watch his health. But Vince, when you're a main event star, and he's going to be in 6 consecutive main events, that's a record. But yet we've only seen him, since the Rumble 2 times, 3 times?
Well,
Maybe?
Coach, listen, man, let's not ignore this fact. I don't know if you realized it or not, but a record was set on SmackDown on Friday night. Are you paying any attention, or are you spending way too much time on the golf course part-time?
I'm actually doing fighting this week, but it is true. I've been golfing a lot.
Okay.
So no, please enlighten me.
Oh my God, we had a record on Friday night. Coach, not 1, not 2, but 3 wrestlers cried within the span of 3 hours, Coach. We had 3 wrestlers cry within 3 hours. What is this turning into? 3 wrestlers cried during the show.
So what you're saying is we had a mamby-pamby episode
Oh
of SmackDown.
my gosh. Bro, can you imagine what would possibly make Roddy Piper cry on a wrestling show? What would you have to do to make Piper cry?
Tell me he wasn't getting his payday? Probably is all you could do.
Unbelievable. It's too much, man.
It is. I always, because I've kind of started like you, if I see, they always give out ahead of time what's going to be on SmackDown or what's going to be on Raw. And when I see a show that I know that maybe I'm not going to be that interested in, I go back and watch the clips on their YouTube channel that has 100 million subscribers. They give you the whole show right there. And I think that's part of the problem for Netflix right now, because the numbers continue to go down at a time when they should be going up. And that's something they'll never admit to. But Vince, we're just laying out facts. And since January 7th, the ratings have been going like this. And this is historically the time of year where they should be going like this.
Coach, this is what I've been saying, and I've been saying this all along. And what I've been saying is, I don't know how long. If you continue to put out a mediocre product at best, it's going to catch up with you. And this is what I mean, Coach. This is exactly what I mean. Let's say Netflix, WWE went on Netflix. Let's say they got 1 million new viewers. And those 1 million new viewers are now paying $12.99 a month. Okay? So now they're paying the $12.99 a month. They're watching this 2.5 hour, 3 hour show on Netflix every Monday night. It's only a matter of time before they figure out, man, in this 2.5 hours, there was 1, maybe 2 good segments. Why am I paying for this when I can just go on YouTube for free and see the 1 or 2 good segments? That's what I'm talking about when I say in some way, shape, or form, it's going to catch up with them. Because man, unless you are a hardcore fan, it is very hard to sit through the 2.5 to 3 hours.
I'm so glad that you said that, because I'm trying to find the name of the general. I'll find it later. But I reached out, and we have a couple of super stickers to get to. Let's hit on those real quick, and then I'll get back to your point, okay, Vince? First, Otis Linkman says, why isn't Drew facing Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? Well, I felt like he's been getting slighted all along, and we always believe that. Producer man, can you do me a favor real quick? Because I do not have my mouse on the super stickers. Can you text them to me, please? Because we have so much going in the chat, I'm losing them. So if you can just text me screenshots, that would be amazing. Do you feel like Drew is getting kind of – I feel like he's the one guy that I'm into. I think he's a superstar. And the way they positioned him, and he's nowhere near the main event on either night right now.
Yeah, I mean, his position at WrestleMania is really to help, get over and, lift up Damian Priest. And I mean, listen, I like Priest. I like Priest a lot, but again, Priest ain't a 25-year-old guy. Priest has been around, for a while, and Priest is up there in age, but McIntyre's job is to elevate Priest at WrestleMania, not to be in a main event match.
No doubt. Now, Max Still, another super sticker. Thank you, by the way. This is a take that I absolutely agree with. And you're never going to get the, whatever they say, whatever back into the box. The 2-night event is here to stay. I severely disagree with it, but they're making how many more millions of dollars? So Max Still says this. You close night 1 of Mania, you don't main event it. One show, one main event. Even with 2 nights, there can only be one true main event. I absolutely agree with that. Do you?
I mean, Coach, is this turning into participation trophy?
Thank you.
I'm asking that. I'm asking that seriously because, bro, I was saying this all along. Let's face it, Cody and Cena is the main event. There's nothing even close to that main event, and that's why I was saying all along, man, it looks like CM Punk is never going to get that main event. I don't know if he's going to be around this time next year. Guy's getting up there in age. He's injury prone. It looks like he's not going to get it. But now, doing this 3-way, we're giving Punk his main event. Is that the 10-year-old participation trophy? I agree with what Max is saying wholeheartedly. You could have 2 nights of WrestleMania, man, if you want to collect all that money. But yes, there should be one main event.
This goes back to during my first run there, which was more than 10 years. We only had 1 night. And when they started going to the 2 nights, you're literally screaming to the world. And TKO is okay with this. TKO has come out, as we know, and been like, hey, we're not charging enough for our tickets. And then shows don't sell out overseas. Those were not sellouts. And when you only go once or twice a year, every show's got to be a sellout. Well, clearly, you're right. You're selling too fast. You're selling not charging enough. But on top of that, you're literally telling the world, we don't care about the show. We care about the money. Because Vince, right now, they do not have a deep enough roster. And I've said this a million times. During my first run, there was competition to get on to WrestleMania. It wasn't the participation. Now, you had superstars that would sit backstage and sit around and do nothing and throw no ideas against the wall, not come up to any of the writers. You know those guys that I'm talking about. But you had guys like Rock, Austin, Hunter, Taker, Kane. They were all like, man, where am I going to be positioned? Because also back then, they were paid by their position on the show. So main eventing was a $1 million bonus payday. And so when people go, Coach, it's not competition. 100% it was competition. Now, you just got to be a part of 10 matches, 5 on one night, 5 on the other. And Vince, when there's not enough talent to be at a level that you're walking around to parties and saying, man, I can't wait for the first match. I can't wait for the second match. That's the way WrestleMania always was to me.
Yeah.
And then you crescendo. You go up, and then all of a sudden, right when you're exhausted, right when you think you got nothing else to give, here comes that beautiful main event. But in this instance, it's, we got to come back tomorrow night. And we're going to come back tomorrow night, and I'm going to be exhausted, and I got to restart it all over again and crescendo up to Cody and Cena.
Well, Coach, you hit the nail on the head. Whoever's calling the shots over there, what's the new dude's name? Shapiro, I think, or
Mark Shapiro.
Shapiro, Ari, whoever is calling the shots over there, you hit the nail on the head. This is not Vince McMahon where, number one, it's his company. Vince would have died for the WWE.
Yes.
No question about it. I hate to break the news to everybody. This ain't Triple H's company. This isn't Stephanie McMahon's company. And whoever is running this company, Coach, all they care about is the almighty dollar. And again, man, we could talk about, how great creative is without Vince and how great this is without Vince and how great. Vince put his company before the almighty dollar. Whoever is pulling the strings, they could care less about the WWE. It's all about the scratch, Coach. That's all that matters, bro.
And that, I was just looking it up. I'm gonna post it out. There was a guy on Instagram. There's a lot of guys that'll do the thing where they stand in front of the green screen and they'll run a story behind them. It was the best one that I've ever seen. and it was about how WWE is in a decline and demise, and they don't even know it. And I'm like, oh, I see this headline. I got to watch this. Vince, I was riveted. He basically went back to 1980s and talking about how the first WrestleMania, you had tickets that were like $10 to $20. Then obviously they go up over the years, but then even as little as 10, 15 years ago, you're still talking $25, $50. Then he vaulted into now, and how the WWE won't address the fact that they're already not selling out, and that front row is still $15,000. That the top row has now moved up to, you cannot get into WrestleMania for less than four figures. It's $1,000 in the last seat. What makes it even more incredible, and I encourage, again, I'll tell you who this guy's name is. I got to go find it. But he was like, this is a 2-night event. Vince, how are we having $15,000 tickets? And then the main part of the story was this, that the core audience of the WWE has always been the family. And the family. And the dad brings the son and the daughter. They grow up, they bring the son and the daughter. They grow up, they bring the son and the daughter. If families now, Vince, cannot afford to go even to a live event, which is severely overpriced, then all of that is going to stop. So it may not happen in the next 5 years because they'll have all that money. But what happens in 10, 15? They've lost sight of the long game, and they're so focused on what's right in front of them, and that could lead ultimately to their demise.
You know, it's funny, Coach, because maybe they don't care about the long game, and I'll tell you why. The price that the WWE was just purchased for under this Shapiro deal, when you look at the money they're talking about, what the WWE is worth, there are very, very few buyers they would have at this point in time. Mm-hmm. Who's at the top of the list that could afford this company? And it's really getting narrowed down to one person: the Saudis.
Wow.
So are they banking out, not caring? We're running families off. We're not selling out, but we're going to get as much bag as we possibly can. And then 2028, we're selling the whole shebang to the Saudis. I mean, could that be their game plan?
It's interesting that you say this. So let me lay this out for you, Vince. So we now know that the Royal Rumble next year will be taking place in Saudi Arabia. Yep. Okay? And I don't know if you saw this. It's a little convoluted, but I'll try to make it as clear as I can make it. So the other part of the business, Ari Emanuel is the main guy that runs everything, right? He's the one that triggered the $4 billion buyout of UFC, which was at least $2 billion $2 billion over what they should have paid for it, right? So that was the first thing. So they buy WWE to take the profits and start paying off that. And then they have the Pro Bull Riders Tour. And we've seen all of the things they own, throwing guys up on Monday Night Raw that we have no clue who they are. And Michael Cole, you can tell he's reading a card going, John Smith, Bull Rider, Bareback Rider, that. So we're getting that. But on top of that, there was a big transaction where the other side of the business this week went private. And it's called Silver Lake or something like that. And Ari Emanuel, with this deal, got $120 million in cash. They then invested in Peyton Manning's company, Omaha Productions, that Stephanie's Places is with Omaha Productions. And they have said they're going to focus on talent representation as the core of that business. Well, who's one of the guys and one of their biggest movie stars that's part of that business? The Rock. Mm-hmm. So now you've got all of these entities and all of this money. And when all of these articles, Vince, are out there, you never hear about the people. You never hear about the fans. You never hear about the product. You hear about all the guys at the top making tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, but then the product that's providing that is suffering.
Yep.
And at some point, that rug could be pulled out from underneath them, because right now they're ecstatic, but they're clearly not watching the show. And I don't know how you get back to focus on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Coach. This is all about business, and this is all about money. I mean, Al Snow always brings this up. At one time there was a thing called roller derby that was very, very pop. Where is roller derby today? You think that can happen with professional wrestling? Think again. It can.
And I think also, though, I don't believe that wrestling would go away. I'm talking about this one particular company. You could get some really, really smart people that could look at that and say, you know what, I could take advantage of that. And then we can start something over here. Now, I will also say this. Remember I brought up a couple of times here on the show how the CFO, and I can't remember his name, was on CNBC and said, we're selling out so quickly that we're clearly not charging enough. Remember that?
Yep.
Well, it came out yesterday that this year's WrestleMania events is projected to be the lowest attended WrestleMania since WrestleMania 22. 20 years. There's over 5,000 seats still available for night number one. There's almost 4,000 seats available for night number two. Collectively, almost 9,000 tickets for your biggest event of the year still available because the prices, I mean, it's very simple, Vince. They just are asking too much.
But at the end of the day, Coach, when we talk about business, do they really care about that? Or is the bottom line, what is the gate going to be? Is it going to be the highest gate because of the price of what they're charging for these tickets? So even if they're 5,000 tickets short and it's the highest WrestleMania gate of all time, at the end of the day, isn't that all they care about?
100%. 100%. We have a super sticker from Awesome Sauce. This would be interesting. Saudi buys TKO, then Saudi sells back to Vince, or goes into business with Vince.
Goes into business because I don't even think Vince has Saudi money. I don't think Vince has Saudi money. But yeah, hand it back over to Vince to run the show. Yeah, absolutely.
Crazier things have happened. Vince, if this continues to go the way that it is, and you can hide behind the money all that you want, but at the end of the day, if we're looking at the numbers on Netflix the way they're going, and if we're looking at the lack of talent the way that it's going, and talent does not grow on trees, Vince, but if you have a great talent as a writer, you can make them a much bigger star than they are, but you got to have a great base. Mm-hmm. And right now they've got 6 different shows. I like I find the shows very entertaining, and I don't want people to think that I don't. But when I'm watching LFG and Taker and Booker and Bubba Ray and Mickey James are trying to coach these kids to be the next guy, that could take years to have the next guy or the next girl come along. And I don't know if right now they have years to save this group of fans that I see it every single day on social media because they're angry that they can't take their kids to Las Vegas. They're angry. And there's so many other things because I want everybody to win. At the end of the day, Vince, I want everybody to win. You know that about me. And WrestleMania is not just about WrestleMania. It's about WrestleCon. It's about the other smaller shows that piggyback WrestleMania and come to whatever city that it's in. And right now, those shows are hurting as well because the fan base isn't coming to Vegas because the hotels are jacked up. Mm-hmm. WrestleCon is jacked up. And it's a trickle-down effect that really kind of hurts my heart because I've been to almost half of the WrestleManias. I love WrestleMania, but I don't like it when fans and kids can't go.
Yeah, Coach, and that's what this company was built on. I mean, that's exactly what it was built on. It was built on, families and, a dad being able to bring his kids, and you take that away, and now you're just talking about a totally different product, a totally different company with different values and different morals. But again, man, with all the stuff we're talking about, what do they care about? The almighty dollar. So if the gate is where they want the gate to be, everybody's going to be happy.
All right. Well, they will be. the talent doesn't get a payday not on the show, they're not going to be
Yeah.
very happy. Well, we'll put a pin in it, but I want everybody that takes their time to tune in for the show. We value you. Just remember this conversation. We'll revisit it in the next 4 to 6 months to kind of see where the WWE is. You're currently watching the Coach and Bro Show. We're here every single Monday and Thursday. He is Vince Russo. I am the coach. Kind of a disturbing story coming out of the world of wrestling, Vince, and a guy that I don't know how much you like him. He's a former partner of mine, and I really, really adore him. And he had some great WrestleMania moments, maybe the greatest WrestleMania moments. I'm talking about Mick Foley. Did you see the car wreck that he was in the other day? He said, I don't know how I'm walking. I would take that a step further. How is he alive?
Yeah, I think we may, after Hell in the Cell and this, we may have to start calling him the immortal Mick Foley. Look at that freaking car. And from what I understand, he just got like soft tissue bruises. Oh my God. Thank God, man. Mick Foley is a national treasure. I mean, I don't know if you know this or not, Coach, but, Mick's a Long Island guy. I'm a Long Island guy. Our high schools were in the same division. So we constantly, oh my God, yeah. Mick went to Ward Melville High School. I went to Sachem High School. We were, constantly in competition with each other. So I know Mick for a really long time. And my God, seeing that, thank God, man, he's okay.
My goodness. For people who may not know or might be younger fans, Mick Foley, I had the opportunity to, we hosted home videos and all that kind of stuff together. He truly is a guy that it's not always what you see is what you get. But at the end of the day, he just wanted to entertain. And his mind was that I wish a lot of younger talent had. He knew he was not a great athlete. And he knew he was not going to do a bunch of flips and have 5-star matches. So what did he have to do? Yeah, he went a little extreme. Yeah, he wanted to go hardcore. But that's what he knew he needed to do in order to get to the financial level and the levels with The Rock and Stone Cold and all of those guys. And he became so good at that people forgot about the fact that the matches were awful. And so the really big, great matches were the no holds barred, the falls count anywhere, anything that was not captured in the ring, he was great about. And I've never met a human being, we've seen in all the documentaries, and I think people have asked me, they're like, did he really travel with underwear in his briefcase like it was a suitcase? And the answer, Vince, would be
yes, absolutely. Yeah, the cheapest individual you will ever meet in your life, without a shadow of a doubt.
In your life. I've never seen anything like, if you can imagine saving $1 on anything, using coupons. We're talking about a guy at one point that was making over $1 million a year, and coupons.
Yeah,
that's what he would do.
And I would say well over $1 million a year, Coach.
At his height, there's no doubt about it. So, well, Mick, if you're watching, we hope that you're doing okay, and we want you to. But man. And I think it also kind of leads to, and I don't know where you're at on Vincent, I don't want to take a hard left turn here, but I think the reason that I get so emotional or I get so worked up is that I've kind of gotten to a point in my life, in my career, that I not only want to see everybody win, but we're starting to lose people. We lose Val Kilmer the other day, and then all of a sudden you go back to, man, Top Gun, great movie. And then you've got all these guys in wrestling, your friends, my friends, that have passed away. And now that I'm doing this new stuff, I'm here doing PFL. I've got a big role. I love it. And I want to expand. And I've told myself the last 6 months, I don't have another 5 or 10 years to wait for what I want to do. And as a wrestling fan, I want to see these wrestlers say, I don't have 5 or 10 years to wait for what I want to do. And that's how I walk around every day, which is why we do so many shows. It's why you and I love to do this. You do 8,000 shows a week. You grind because we don't have 5 or 10 years. And I'm not talking about mortality, but I start to think like that. And it's a weird place to be in. I know you're a little bit older than I am. Does that resonate or make sense to you?
Oh, God, yes. I mean, you really, Coach, whereas you took it for granted in the past, you really put value on your time. how am I spending my time? And that's why, Coach, I told you I'm going to be 65 in January. And I've made the decision at 65, I can't be wasting 6 hours a week watching WWE. Literally, I'm not. That's 6 hours of my life every single week. So you really wind up putting a value on your life, and what are you doing with your time? That really comes into play as you get older, man.
I will tell you this. I have felt this. It's really weird, like this overwhelming weight lifted off my shoulders, because I think for a long time I was so focused on, I'll just say it, bullshit, the stuff that didn't matter. I sit here and when it comes to wrestling, I was holding on to, Vince owes me all this money. And I can't, well, you know what? Money comes and goes. At the end of the day, like Denzel Washington says, you don't see a U-Haul behind a hearse. You can't take any of it with you. And so I'm holding on to what, 40, 50, 60 grand, like it's like $6 million. Let it go. Let it go and move on and do work that you can make 10 times that amount of money or whatever it is. That's my mindset now. Now, we do have a super sticker. Ty Salter says, from families to celebrities in the front row, same with the UFC shifts from singles, males to celebrities and boxing. Remember who owns them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other part of this too, Vince, is that the UFC just announced that, and again, this is TKO, but the UFC announced that they're going into business with the Saudis to kind of up and change the boxing world. They want the best of the best fighting under one umbrella. Well, that's nice, except there's a lot of, I hate to say it, the Oscar De La Hoyas and those boxing promoters out there that have been the problem for the longest time. But it's not like they're just going to step to the side and said, hey, Dana, hey, UFC, hey, Saudis, come on through and you can run the – but there's only so many hours in the day. So are you going to run WWE, UFC, and boxing? I've heard rumors that they could run an event, a multi-day event for all three in the next year or so. And it's nice to be involved in all three, but – can you really be great at all three if you're doing that?
Not only that, what's the ticket going to be for all three? How much is that ticket going to be, Coach?
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine it. I do like the premise, but at the end of the day, it's just one of those things. So, I don't know. I got off on a tangent there, and I think that's why I love this show. But man, this just matters, Vince. I appreciate the fact that when you turn 65, it's not that you're not going to care about wrestling, but they've gotten to a point, and you throw AEW into this mix now, and I think there's some great smaller promotions that don't get enough run. That, like, we have a deal with Stadium Network. We're on Amazon, DirecTV, all that kind of stuff. They're going to be running Major League Wrestling very soon. You work with a smaller they're in Colorado. I think it's a healthy industry. I would like to see some of these other promotions, the TNAs, the ROHs, get some more play, because the two big ones have so much negativity. I would love positivity coming out of some of the smaller ones, and I know you're involved in one as well.
Yeah, well, we would at least like to see a different brand. I mean, do people want to go back old school? Do people want to witness the wrestling that they grew up in and the wrestling that they enjoyed? There isn't room or money for a promotion that can just, be different. And that's why they've lost a lot of fans, man. They've lost a lot of fans because it's not wrestling, and it's not what we grew up on, and it's not what we fell in love with. I would love to see how that type of wrestling would fare today.
I would too. And we've talked a lot about it, and I know we have a super sticker coming in. As soon as Producer Man gets it to me, I'll read it, because I think it's a pretty good statement there. And thank you, Producer Man. I apologize, Vince. I traveled and forgot my mouse, and I'm scared to hit a button on my computer for fear that you're going to be on your own. And don't you dare make a part-time comment to me. Don't you dare. I know I see it. I know it's coming right now. I see the three little dots. Producer Man's always over. All right, here we go. So we got a couple of super stickers. Wow, Jimmy Fingers, $20. Thank you very much, man. One thing Vince did that nobody does today. He made the mid-card and undercard talent matter creatively. This is why these long shows have become a chore and a waste of time. Unless you're a top guy or a social media star, you don't matter. And that's where we fall. And that's why, Vince, I was really hoping when Netflix started, they would say less is more. Let's go back to 2 hours. Let's make it matter. Let's stop with the 3-segment matches. And I've heard that Paul Heyman is the one that champions these 3-segment matches. But you told me always you never wrote for 2-segment matches. And
Never.
right now, you could easily bring the shows down to 2 hours and stop with that.
Because, Coach, here's the problem. It's not about what Paul Heyman wants. Who cares, Paul? It's what the masses want. And the masses dictated back during the Attitude Era. You got numbers, Coach. You got minute by minutes. You knew what was working and you knew what wasn't working, and you adjusted each and every week. I did not write a show that Vince Russo liked. I wrote a show that the masses liked because my opinion doesn't matter. And that's, today it's, Triple H loves long wrestling matches and Paul Heyman and Tony Khan. Who cares, bro? It's not about what you like. It's about what the masses like. And that's what they've gotten away from, Coach.
There's no doubt about it. We have another Super Sticker, Sid. Thank you very much. Russo's promos on Mike Tenay and TNA were so awesome. How much fun were those?
I got to tell you this, bro. The wrestling world misses Mike Tenay, man. Mike kind of retired and, he's living in Vegas. What a great, great dude. The wrestling industry misses Mike Tenay, man. What a great guy.
Wow. Those are some old school good dudes.
Yeah.
And I would love nothing more. And let me know in the chat, because you just gave me an idea. And I know there's only so many hours in a day. But we do the last word, and it's kind of a round table discussion. But I think it would be fun, and I don't know what the content exactly would be, but to get some guys like a Mike Tenay, like guys that are good dudes that maybe were in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, and then just get together and tell stories and do it on YouTube. I think that there would be a really cool audience for that. Do you think people would enjoy that, or are we past that?
Oh, no, I do. Coach, I say this all the time. There are a lot of former wrestlers or people that were formerly in the industry on the outside looking in. And that's why I always say it's very, very difficult to be a good guy and be in the wrestling business. And I tend to find that all my friends on the outside looking in are good people. That's why they're not in the industry. They're not politicians. They're not cutthroat artists. They're good people. I could reel off a million names of brilliant people in wrestling that are on the outside looking in, because if they're in, they're getting eaten up and spit out because they're just not that kind of people.
I think that's why you and I have gravitated towards each other the last several months, becoming such close friends, but also because, and this is what makes you and I laugh. We laugh about it behind the scenes so much when we see some lazy person on X say, you guys just want to get called back to the main roster. You just want to, the thought of going back for 52 weeks a year and to deal with that doesn't interest me in the slightest. I like entertaining and doing this, and I think we can grow this, and I think that there's not enough really good wrestling shows out there, because there's a lot of people who were fans, and you and I were inside. Now we're outside with the credibility of what we did inside. But when I hear that, Vince, I know it drives you bananas, because at 65 years old, the thought of going back and writing and then having your show ripped up on Saturday afternoon because it wasn't good enough, and then on Monday you got to rewrite it, and you have Groundhog's Day week after week. I can't even imagine going back to that.
I can't, Coach. I mean, I love my life now. I love that I set my own schedule. I love that I get to do the things I want to do. I love that I get to do shows with people that I actually want to do shows with, man. And that's why if people had any idea, I mean, I don't even think they would say it to piss me off, because they would just know how insanely stupid that would be.
So let's close the show with this week because we are 2 weeks away Saturday from WrestleMania. We've talked about WWE, who could buy them, the money, and all that kind of stuff. With everything that's going on right now and how Vince and Shane have kind of started to pop up in different places, do you think after WrestleMania, because to me, this is a ripe time to, if you're going to start something, you start something. Do you think because of the murky waters that the WWE is in right now with Netflix and all kind of taking the mind off the ball, do you think that Vince is preparing to do something with Shane as the face either in the summer or in the fall?
Coach, you can see it every about once every 2 weeks. You'll pick this up somewhere. Vince's lawyers are doing everything they possibly can to get this case to arbitration. Everything they possibly can. Because I think Vince knows if he ever got it to arbitration without blinking an eye, he can offer Janelle Grant a settlement that she would not be able to say no to. If the original number, what was the original number? $3 million?
Yep.
Stop it. He would triple that to get back in the game. And you keep seeing, bro, there, he's doing everything to get this thing settled, because I would have to believe once it's settled, that day it's settled, he's coming out with some kind of an announcement. That's the only thing holding him back, Coach. If this is going to go to trial, through a court of law, and it's going to get dragged out, he really can't do much. But man, if he's able to get this thing to arbitration, the next day, Vince McMahon would make a statement.
You know what's crazy to me, and I know you're not super into the MMA world, but Conor McGregor, who a few months ago civilly was convicted of sexual assault twice. And I was like, am I living in a fantasy land or la la land? He didn't miss a beat. Not only did he stay with BKFC as they pay him to be the face and cut promos, but he has one fight left with the UFC, which is why Dana won't let him go and do anything, because he's not fighting anymore. He hasn't fought in 4 or 5 years. He keeps talking about he's not fighting. But he not only did that, but Vince, he went to the White House. He's taking pictures with Donald Trump. And so apparently none of that matters. And so if that's the case, and I'm not saying that Vince is convicted of anything. I'm just saying that if Conor McGregor can walk through all of that without so much as missing a beat, then to me, you get that number so high, 15, 20, 25 million, whatever it is. You've got $6 billion just cashed in the stack. So you get to the point where she can't make a statement anymore. And to me, if that happens, I 100% agree, because the times that he's shown up, the Super Bowl, the Knicks game, the masses have not skipped a beat at all.
Yep.
And I think that was the whole purpose. So hopefully she gets what she deserves and she can move on with her life and be okay, because we certainly have great empathy for her.
Right.
But I agree with you. One more super sticker, and then we got to get out of here. Jimmy Fingers, again, thank you so much for today, man. The support really, really means a lot. Who do you guys think is responsible for how unentertaining the product has been? Is it TKO owning the company and not knowing anything about the wrestling business, or Hunter's booking, or both? I'll let you have that first, Vince.
I've said it a million times, bro. Hunter's a wrestler. He's not a writer. He has no idea how to write a television show. He has no idea how to format a television show. He knows nothing about cliffhangers. He knows nothing about drama. He knows nothing about comedy. He knows nothing about romance. And I can go on and on and on and on. You have a wrestler writing a wrestling show. Period. End of story.
And I will say it's both, because I'll take the other side of that. When you've got a company that's all about the bottom line and not a guy who built this company from the dirt, they don't care about the fighters, and they showed that on the UFC side of things. And I'm here doing MMA, and there's a lot of former UFC guys that are here involved with us. And every story you hear is nope, 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 nope. Offering guys $12,000 and $12,000 to fight, and they're former champions. They don't care about the talent. And that's the one thing. Say what you want about Vince. You can say what you want, think what you want. The one thing that he would always do is he cared about the talent to a certain extent. And he took care of more guys privately than anybody would ever know. He's the one that started the Legends deal. And right now, his head's got to be popping off his shoulders watching a corporation run what should be a business based off of families.
Yeah.
So I blame TKO as well. One more super sticker, Wall Rads. Screw modern day wrestling. You are who we love. What you did make a difference to us. Keep being friends. It makes us happy to see you guys happy.
Very nice.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This is genuine. We genuinely love this. We came together very organically, but I've said this all the time. This is my favorite hour of the entire week because it's real, and we get to talk about something that we love and that was a major part of our lives. And for that, I'm forever grateful.
I am too. So, yeah, thank you guys very much.
Yep. That's going to do it for us today. Remember, we're here every single Monday and Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, you can catch us on demand throughout the week at any point. So, for my man, Vince Russo, producer man behind the scenes, I am the coach. We'll see you on Monday. There is only one, the Coach and Bro Show. Take care.